welcome everybody. Good morning and thank you for joining us. My name is Dwayne Henderson and I'm a member of the Cree Lighting Training and Education team and host of our e-learning series. For those watching live, happy Friday. We made it to the end of the week. About the sessions, when the presentations begin, will be about 15 minutes in duration. We will ask the presenters to hang around for a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So although the participants are muted, we do encourage you guys to use the chat and Q&A box to ask questions throughout the event. For those that have been watching regularly, you know that Friday is our controls-related content, and today we'll be looking at an introduction to SimplySNAP, another controls solution that we can offer. And helping us through that will be Tom Hinds from our Intelligent Lighting team and from Product Marketing, Ryan Loggins. Good morning, boys.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dwayne.
Thank you. Hey, before we get started, can you guys quickly talk about your role in the business? Tom, do you want to start, and then we'll move on to Ryan?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the title is Director of Intelligent Lighting. Largely, I lead product management for our intelligent lighting solutions, including the SimplySNAP enabled products that we're going to talk about today.
Perfect. And Ryan?
Yep. So my primary role is I'm the product portfolio manager for the industrial lighting segment. And really joined today kind of as in a support capacity to really address any kind of Q&A questions that may come up specific to the products where we've actually installed SimplySNAP's wireless solution, primarily on our KBL, and we'll be talking about some of the specific installations a little bit later on. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Tom, you want to get us going?
Sure. Thanks, Dwayne. So we're going to spend a few minutes this morning going through a high-level overview of our SimplySNAP enabled intelligent lighting solutions with Cree Lighting. As Ryan had said, he's here to help support me. I told him that I needed a hype man, and he was happy to volunteer for that role. So getting started here. We recently announced just a few months ago adding the SimplySNAP control offering to some of our Cree lighting products in the outdoor and industrial segments. SimplySNAP is a company based out of Huntsville, Alabama that's been doing wireless lighting controls in industrial and outdoor applications for a number of years. And it was a great fit, and they've been a great partner for us over the journey to get these integrated products launched, as well as just provided some great ongoing support for us as a company and for our various teams throughout the channel as well. So we kind of start talking about this in terms of an application. We're highlighting outdoor and industrial here. And on the outdoor side, what we're really focused on with the SimplySNAP enabled products are site and area applications, as well as parking lot and parking garage applications. Think about your corporate campuses, your educational facilities, be it K-12 or higher ed, auto dealerships, kind of some of your other outdoor sales environments, shopping malls, just about anywhere that's got a parking lot or a parking garage is a great candidate for the SimplySNAP controls. And then on the industrial side, it's a little bit of a mix of industrial and indoor, to be honest. We've seen some great applications. We had some early customer wins in the warehousing environment. Light manufacturing, some production lines, another great fit for this, as well as gymnasiums and indoor practice facilities. So if you think about those educational applications from K-12 up to higher ed, or even getting into some of the professional sports facilities where you do have an indoor practice environment, these are all kind of that higher mounting height type of applications, right? Things that are going 20, 30, 40 foot up in the air. And part of what got us so excited about SimplySNAP and why I'm still excited about that offering is they really check a lot of the boxes when it comes to delivering the kind of lighting controls that you need for these different applications. They offer a web-based interface that's going to be for setup and configuration, as well as control and reporting and monitoring of those lights. Really nice part about being a web interface is that it frees us to be able to work with any kind of device that we might want to work with in terms of accessing the system. So whether you're an Apple person or not an Apple person, if you've got an iPhone or an Android or an iPad or a Samsung or a Mac or a PC, doesn't matter for us, right? As long as it can access a web browser and it's got a screen and an interface, that's all we really need. So it affords a lot of flexibility which I'm always excited about having flexibility for our customers. It also checks a lot of the other boxes. And we'll talk about these a little bit as we go through this presentation. Scheduling, astronomic time clock scheduling gives us both standard schedules as well as special events, which is really nice to have. Be able to plan out some different things throughout the year to have the system work the same way that we want our facility to work and not the other way around. Gives us a nice set of sensors to work with. So we have both motion sensing as well as ambient light sensing for daylight harvesting. So we can address a lot of those sensor-based configurations and project needs on that end. We have individual fixture control, so we can get down to individually controlling fixtures, getting data, monitoring those individual fixtures, as well as rolling up that control and monitoring to larger zones and spaces. Supports custom scenes. It's always a good thing, scenes and presets. And it's also something that can be scaled and can be integrated with other systems that are on that project site. So whether that is through a backend integration to a building management system, or want to do something a little bit more custom through a software API, you had those tools with Synapse. And in a lot of ways, this is very similar to how we've talked about our SmartCast intelligence platform, right? The SimplySNAP offering is simple, it's scalable, it's secure, and it's open by allowing us to openly integrate with BACnet and API into other building systems that are on that project. It's also really well set up for energy codes. So with the SimplySNAP, we're able to meet all of the energy codes from coast to coast, even some of the more stringent codes, such as the California Title 24 and the Washington State Energy Code. SimplySNAP system is fully DLC qualified. And the other nice part is Synapse is really an active member of input in defining standards, much like Cree Lighting is. It's really great to have our partner also actively involved in some of those more industry-focused aspects of what we do. Through some of that energy monitoring, it is utility-grade energy metering that we have available with the solution. Through that energy metering, through the ability to export that data out of the system, the other nice aspect is it's really going to give you the tools that you need to meet any of the custom rebate programs that you might have in your local market as well. So continuing on, in terms of overall system, it really is a simple system to bring together. It doesn't take a lot of parts and pieces to do our basic standalone configuration. What we're going to start with is controlled fixtures, and that could be through a NEMA 7-pin twist lock in the case of OSQs and pole-mounted site lighting. It could be through a factory-installed integrated Synapse control on IG and KBL. And then we're going to add in an on-site controller, which is really the brains of the operation. We'll have at least one of these per project. But that's really all you need. At a most basic level, to meet code and do some of our basic energy-saving strategies, this is all we need. That web-based control software that we got a little picture of on the screen here, that's embedded inside of that on-site controller. There's no recurring licenses, there's no ongoing fees. So for your basic level of control and functionality, it's all included with just controlled fixtures and on-site controllers. And we'll talk a little bit in a slide or two about a couple of the other pieces that we can add in here. One thing that we won't get into too much today with the limited amount of time that we have, Synapse does offer some additional cloud-based software options where we can really step things up a notch, aggregate data, give a better way of accessing a system that might be multi-site or multi-on-site controller. So we can extend this standalone system to be one that is cloud-enabled, optionally for projects that would like that or see the value in moving on to that little bit higher level of functionality. SimplySNAP is a wireless mesh. So if you've not heard about wireless meshes, this is where the network itself is going to be able to talk to multiple nodes. The great part about this from an outdoor and industrial perspective is that it's really resilient to interference. And the kind of interference we're talking about is things like trees outdoor or really tall racks in a warehouse application. Things that are going to interfere with RF transmission. The nice part about that wireless mesh is it's able to really adapt to that and even adapt to that over time. So as that tree grows and maybe changes its interference profile, we're still in a great place. The standard range on our SimplySNAP components is generally going to be 300 feet from fixture to fixture. And then from fixture to that on-site controller, it's rated at a mile of range. So really good range to be able to cover us in just about every application that you're going to encounter. From a control strategy, we talked about a few of these, but again, the nice part with SimplySNAP is it does check a lot of the boxes we're going to run into. We do have the ability to control things from a zone and scene perspective. So we can get into zones of light. We can preset those zones to certain levels through scenes. With motion sensing, we can operate in occupancy or vacancy. So that's auto on or a manual on configuration. We're able to change those settings through the software, so we don't have to get out ladders and scissor lifts and bucket trucks to go get to dials on sensors, which makes it really nice from a maintenance standpoint. We're able to deliver daylight harvesting. This is going to be an open loop configuration with an external sensor for my lighting control geeks out there. But the really nice part about this is with the approach that we've taken with SimplySNAP and with the Cree lighting fixtures, we're able to do a continuous dim with our daylight harvesting. So we're really able to get the best amount of illumination as well as the best energy savings for any application, whether that's a parking garage, a internal warehouse that has skylighting or high windows. So we can really extract as much energy as possible, but still give you great illumination throughout that space, throughout the day, and throughout the year. Talked a little bit about scheduling before. It is an astronomic time clock. It does support offsets. We can control scenes and zones, so we can do sweeps and some of those more traditional things. We can also adjust some of the motion sensor settings. What I really like about this is it gives us the flexibility to vary how those motion sensors, what light levels those motion sensors are going to drive product to. So what I mean by this is imagine we might have a warehouse that's really only operated during the day, and at night it's more of a housekeeping and security function that goes on. Well, during the day, we may want to only dim lights down to say 50% when there's no motion. But at night, we want to be a little bit more aggressive with our energy savings, and we want to turn those lights off. We're able to accomplish that with the scheduling features inside of SimplySNAP. And lastly, we hadn't talked about this quite yet, but it does support a floor plan function. So this is going to allow you to import a graphic. It could be a floor plan. It could be a Google Map satellite view. And then we can locate icons representing fixtures and sensors onto that floor plan. It's going to give us a quick way to see status through some color-coded icons. Green's good, red's needing attention. But also gives us a way to quickly give control over a single fixture, as well as look at information coming off that single fixture, like energy usage and some other things. In terms of the options available from a hardware perspective, we talked about some of the integrated luminaires already in the TL7. I alluded to the wireless sensor. Again, this is an externally mounted wireless sensor. It's going to have power brought to it, and then it has a SimplySNAP radio built into it so that it does not need to wire back to any fixtures. We do all that configuration through that web-based interface through software. On-site controller, showed you a picture of one of them. That was our indoor mounted one. We also have a outdoor rated on-site controller that's called the Central Base Station. It includes that same on-site controller inside of a outdoor rated EMA 4X enclosure. So it gives you some flexibility whether you want to mount your on-site controller indoors, which makes it sometimes a little bit easier to connect it to an enterprise network and have that a little bit more accessible from inside the building, or to mount that on-site controller outside, where maybe you just have a very simple external only standalone configuration, in which case Central Base Station can serve a lot of great needs. We talked about backnet integration and tying that into the building management system. We accomplished that through a building management gateway, a BMS gateway, which again is an optional component, only needed if you decide to do that integration. Say a little bit high level, we want to give you a sampling of the fixtures that we have. Again, site and area lighting, we accomplished with the Synapse TL7 7-pin twist lock, supports energy metering as well as photo control. It is pre-tested for compatibility with OSQ and OSQ-HO. And we've got testing underway and nearly completed for our roadway series, Treveo, XSP, and RSW. So while Synapse is not a roadway control system, we do realize that sometimes it makes sense to use some of our roadway products in site and area applications. So we wanted to go ahead and do that pre-tested compatibility for you. We'll have that announced here very shortly. Our IG and KVL are available with factory installed integrated Synapse controls. We can get these fixtures with and without motion sensors. Those sensors can be grouped to control a variety of lights, so you don't need one motion sensor for every light fixture. You can really dial that into your project. They also support energy metering, and they also have a low voltage input that can be paired with a UL924 relay by others to give you automatic control override when on non-normal power or generator power, should you need that for your project and to meet any kind of. Lastly, we do have some startup options available with the SimplySNAP system. These services are optional, but highly, highly recommended. Today, we have a remote and an on-site option available. Remote would be a Synapse expert remotely logging into the Synapse system, doing the configurations, and then disconnecting from the system. On-site would be more of your boots on the ground option, where we have someone physically travel out to your site to do that startup. Coming soon, we're going to have a hybrid of these two called Smart Hands, where it's going to be a combination of a Synapse expert logging in remotely to do the bulk of the configuration, as well as an on-site technician who can serve more of being those hands and those boots on the ground when we actually need to go maybe look at something for troubleshooting. But it's a great blend of remote and on-site while reducing the pricing a little bit below the on-site price. Speaking of pricing, that is going to be based on the size of the project and the complexity of the project. So projects that have more complex things like daylight harvesting will be a little bit more expensive than your simpler projects and your smaller projects. That's really a quick intro to the Synapse SimplySNAP offering with the Cree lighting products. Again, this is really focused on outdoor and industrial applications, simple wireless mesh, scalable product that integrates with BACnet, optional startup services. Got all the right features to meet some of your emerging energy codes, but also can start off as a very simple standalone system that doesn't require internet to be able to address those really simple projects. We also have a case study in the works that's going to be coming out really soon that Ryan has been very much involved with. And Ryan, do you want to give us a quick highlight about that case study?
Yeah, so it's the case study that's coming out with the Synapse actually installed with the KBL. It's actually for one of our larger and longer term customers with the Uline facilities, if you're familiar with their infrastructure. And basically, what we've done with the Uline facilities is we've actually done 3 of their sites now, and actually have different levels of functionality, but actually they kind of operate as a super user. And we're able to kind of highlight, what the capabilities of the Synapse system when coupled with KBL are, and kind of highlights, what they're able to achieve in terms of energy savings, the scalability and the flexibility that they were actually able to gain out of that LED system versus what they have used in the past. So it's a great example with a tremendous footprint at this point that really shows the capabilities of what the system can offer to an end user.
Thanks, Ryan. And with that, I will hand it back over to you, Dwayne.
Great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Tom, one question, it was about the energy usage. Is that calculated or is that a measured value? Do you know how that's achieved?
Yeah,
so utility grade.
Yep. So it's going to be utility grade energy metering. So it is measured. It's not calculated, and it's going to be at a 2% accuracy.
Okay. And then there was another question asking about any plans to include Noctura in this offering.
That is a great question. Definitely, that is in the plans to include Noctura. Right now, Noctura just has a 3-pin NEMA receptacle available on its products. So I know that team is working to get a 7-pin receptacle option, and we'll have the pre-tested compatibility done to coincide with adding in a 7-pin option for that product line.
Okay. And then we talked about the range being a mile. There's a question, is that a cell signal to a hub, or do you know how that might be achieved in the mesh network that you talked about?
Yeah, so that mile range is on the Synapse network side. So it is on the 2.4 gigahertz wireless side. Again, they've got a little bit different antenna design that they're able to do on the on-site controller that gives them better range. But the way I like to think about it is with a mile range, we're really only trying to get from that on-site controller to the first fixture because of the nature of the mesh. So it's just more of a feel good. It's going to have plenty of range to get through, walls and some of the obstructions between wherever that on-site controller is located, where the first fixture and that mesh is going to be located.
There's another question about SimplySNAP's ability to communicate maybe with SmartCast and Odyssey. Is that more around the open API type conversation? Can you maybe address that?
Yeah, I think the great part is if you look at all the intelligent lighting solutions that Cree Lighting is coming out with, all of them are supporting at a minimum BACnet integration. So we're able to tie in these different systems through a central BMS in all instances. So, if someone's looking for that single dashboard that gives them unified visibility into SmartCast and Odyssey and Synapse and some of the Lutron, some Lutron options that we've done a Lutron enabled integration on some of our fixtures with, all of those can be brought into a BACnet system to give you that functionality. So you may not get it inside of the individual systems, but we can certainly tie it all together at the BACnet level.
Good. So another question about adding Synapse to non-Cree luminaires. I don't think we're thinking about facilitating other products other than what our product portfolio. Can you maybe comment on that?
Yeah, so we've been working with Synapse on having a good solution that lets us extend the Synapse system to really any 0 to 10 volt dimmable product. Not quite in the market and launched yet, but that's something that we're actively working with them to have a good, robust field installable solution for anybody's 0 to 10 volt controlled product.
Yeah, and Tom, this is one that maybe we can, looking at next Friday's episode as well, but the question between the difference between SimplySNAP and maybe Limelight in a solution. I don't know if you want to tackle that one today or if you want to punt that one to next week, but that's another question that came up.
Yeah, I think it's a good one to look maybe towards next week's topic as one to address. I will say that we do have a intelligent lighting comparison document that's available via Cree link that talks about some of the different solutions and gives you some of the advantages and disadvantages of the different solutions. So I'd encourage our team to take a look at that resource. We're also working on coming out with a presentation that will kind of go through an overview of all the different systems concisely. So you should have one presentation that will talk about all of the intelligent lighting solutions and some of the trade-offs coming soon, just not quite ready today.
Perfect. All right, so Tom, I don't see any more questions. If you want to advance the slide, we'll kind of wrap up. So just to kind of give you guys an idea of what's coming next week, on Monday our design topic will be street lighting. On Wednesday, we'll move away from well lighting and we'll be going into an industry-related topic around understanding TM30. And then as we kind of hinted with the Limelight question, next Friday, we'll be looking at Lutron and integrating with Lutron. So that'll be something we'll be covering next week. Again, thank you, Tom, and thank you, Ryan, and thank you to the audience for joining us again. We really appreciate the eyeballs. And just to let you know, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Tom, Ryan, absolutely. And certainly if you have any feedback, please feel free to send those to me as well. Again, if you've missed any of our sessions, all of them are posted to YouTube, so you can go to our YouTube channel, and we'd love you to subscribe to that content as well. With that, thanks everybody. Enjoy your weekends.